Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. Today, you are in for a treat. I've got my good friend Geoff Zimpfer, who is with the Mortgage Marketing Radio Podcast, one of the top rated podcasts in the country, more than 12,000 monthly downloads. His podcast hosts industry thought leaders such as Todd Duncan, Tim Brahim, Sue Woodard, Dave Savage, Barry Habib, Bill Hart, and so many more, and recently crossed a huge milestone of 150th episode of his podcast. And Geoff has also been a national coach for, so many great people, but right now at Movement Mortgage as a national sales coach, really focusing to help people with the power of social media, digital marketing, and personal branding. And I am delighted to have Geoff with us. What's up, Geoff?
Hey, man. So delighted to be here. Congratulations to you and all your success. And I really like what you're doing with the podcast and kind of the specific focus you have around insanely tactical and scripts. And I'm learning from you, man.
Hey, well, I love what you're doing. You have been doing this and making such a mark and an impact in our industry for years. And man, just honored to have you on the podcast today. And hey, we're coming out of the end of a season. So really, we're about to roll into a brand new year. And I thought we would jump on the podcast and talk about, well, first off, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Tell us your story. I know you've originated loans. You've coached with organizations such as Tony Robbins. Now you're with Movement Mortgage. Tell the audience your story, a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the shortest version if I can. Tony Robbins is funny. You know, that's where I kind of got my sales career. That's actually 30 years ago. I know, shocking to find, but I was working for Tony when I was like 25 years old. I literally drove cross country from Maine to San Diego, not knowing a soul. And I tell my kids this whole story about, like, you know how I got that job for Tony Robbins, man? I had to do a video recording of me back in the days of, remember the video? You probably not. It was on the shoulder with the cassette. Right?
You had to put it in the side.
Yeah, I had to put it in the side, and I've made a videotape of myself of like, why should we hire you? And I had to mail it.
Oh my gosh!
Mail a video.
That's crazy.
Really aging myself. Anyway, long story short, yeah, I got the job and worked for Robbins' organization for 4 or 5 years, on the road, traveling, new city every 8 weeks.
Wow.
Pitching seminars, getting in front of a room full of real estate agents and lenders and selling tickets to Tony's events. And that was my baptism by fire, in the sales career. And
man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a great learning experience. Let me tell you about preparing you for success in sales and life. It was awesome. Then, of course, I decided I had to come off the road and stop traveling so much. And two industries I spent a lot of time with doing that was real estate and mortgage. And I decided I was going to do one of those two things. And I settled on being a mortgage loan originator. And so I did. And then I became that and did that for 10 years in Orange County, Southern California. Averaged about 120 units a year. And, fell in love with the industry, wanted to stay connected to it, did a bunch of things in between, but have been in the industry since 2003. And I'm a national sales trainer and coach at Movement, man, and happy to be a fellow colleague and, pal of yours.
I love it. Well, hey, and tell me about the podcast. So how did that come about? Because you're literally just blazing a trail, but making such an impact with your podcast. So how did you get started in that? What really, number one, when, and then what were the steps? What are you doing today? How are you innovating through the podcast? And then we're going to get into some business planning and goal setting, but love to just hear more about the podcast.
Yeah. So the podcast, it's a labor of love. I know that sounds kind of cheesy or like a joke, but it's true.
It's not a joke.
Similar to why you're doing your podcast, you're looking for ways to give back, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And look, we're all, I think, at some level, not everybody, but some people want to have a platform. Some people want to build a personal brand. And I had wanted to do that for years and decided that was the one way I was going to do it, was as a podcast. I actually started on YouTube back in like 2006 and 7 and was doing videos then. It was just really hard to do the videos. So I transitioned and said, what can I do with that? I don't have to like always have everything set up. So it's like, oh, podcast, sure. Anyway, so my first podcast was January 2016. And,
wow.
Yeah. So we're coming up on year 5 in 2020, man.
Hey, well, and to our podcast listeners, what a milestone too. You broke over 250 1,000
Yeah.
downloads.
Hmm.
Like that's significant, man.
Yeah, yeah. I know you and I were talking a little bit about that before record. It's like, hey, how do you get there? Quote, air quotes. So for anybody's listening, if you're trying to increase your Facebook views, your YouTube views, how do you get there? I can tell you the one thing I know how to get there is consistency
Yeah.
over time, the
Hey,
long run.
well, and you know what? This will go along with the podcast, not only podcast, but building your business plan. It's interesting because what we're learning is the power of consistency over time.
Right.
And I love that saying. We say it at the end of it, which is anything worth doing is worth doing. Everybody would say, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's really anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Half the battle is twofold.
Right.
Just get started.
Right.
And just don't quit before breakthrough. So many people we see in this industry get to a tipping point, and right before breakthrough would happen, they say, well, I'm not seeing the results. It's the same thing with prospecting. What you are eating today, as far as loan volume and as far as originating in the relationships you have, you can all pinpoint back 90 days. And I don't care how long you've been doing this, our business runs in 90-day cycles. And so if January is awful, you know what you were doing in October and November, right? February is awful, you know what you were doing in November and December. So this is the right time to keep your foot on the gas regardless of the results you see. And that's a big point in the, as far as the business planning. I think we quit too soon.
Oh yeah, man, 100%. It's funny. I teach a lot of classes for real estate agents, and some of these agents have gotten started on YouTube. And this guy came to me, and he goes, "Hey, man, I've been posting videos for 3 months. When can I expect to see results?" Exactly. That was my reaction.
3 videos, one a month, right?
It wasn't even once a week, man. I got to tell you.
Well, it's so, oh my God. Well, here's what's funny is we just started doing, and this is transparency, but we just are pushing on the Loan Officer Leadership YouTube page. And I'm telling you, we have probably 50 hours of what we've put in for videos. You know how many subscribers we have?
No.
9.
9?
We have 9.
You got 10 as of today after this session.
Well, and it's funny because you just realize, I remember this author, they interviewed him and they said, hey, well, you're an overnight success. His name was Tommy Tenney. He had just written a big #1 bestseller. And he said, you'll never know how long that night was. Yeah, good. You're an overnight success. You just don't know how long we've been pushing.
I like that.
How many weeks in the closet of just doing what nobody else thinks can be done. And we were talking about momentum earlier, and I think you can equate this to your mortgage business, is that the half of it is you just got to keep doing it, and you'll see it start to snowball. But it just takes time and consistency, man. And when you think you're about to fail, you got to keep running. So, hey,
well, how long are you going to, try? How much time would you give for your kids to learn how to walk?
That's a great question.
Would you be like, you've been trying for like 3 weeks. That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, you're done. You don't have it yet. You're not running, so we're done.
Can you try something else now, please? Move on.
Hey, but you know what I think it is, though? I think it goes back to, Geoff, people want the instant results. So here's what you see, like with the apps, and this is crazy because even with the apps like TikTok, the new app that's coming out, I think it's all moving so fast and you're expecting instant results, even on our Instagram, because we were talking about how do you market and social media. And even on our Instagram, we've been pushing on that now for half a year, like literally pushing on it. We just broke 1,000. So
same here.
When you can pay for it, but you don't get the engagement. And it was funny. I was laughing with Eli earlier, and we're like, bro, do you know what it took to get us to 1,000? Like every day we invite people to come be a part of this journey. And at some point it'll catch fire, but there's no overnight success.
No, there's
unless you're on the Oprah Winfrey show, then you can be an overnight success.
That is true. That is the one caveat. Hey, let's be honest, man. Do we wish that we could push button and have success?
Oh yeah.
Of course. Do I wish I could push a button and have 6-pack abs? Yeah. But that's not the reality, right? So are you living in reality or not?
Yeah.
So,
well, and the character's built in what you do over time. Isn't that amazing? I love James Clear's book. We've been talking about it in the podcast, Atomic Habits. You got to get it because it talks about if I can just get 1% better, 1% better, 1% better. And it's not, I think we take for granted and we think what I can do today makes such a big impact. but what we forget, it's what we do every day that makes a long-term impact. It's the little things.
Well, it's like, speaking of Tony Robbins, I think this is kind of the saying he has is most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 3 or 5 years.
Oh yeah. I love that. Hey, we'll talk to people about business planning. You know, you're coaching a ton of guys. You've got, hey, and I want to plug your website and your resource. So you not only are a sales coach, but you've got resources at Mortgage Marketing Experts, right? Is that where you can send people to check out?
Mortgage marketing radio would be me.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll talk about your resources that are available, what people can go and check out, and then talk about what you're coaching people on for the new year.
Yeah, I would say as far as resources, if anybody does want to, connect with me, that would be the place to do it, mortgagemarketingradio.com. That's where they can subscribe to the podcast. And I've got like a couple downloads there and stuff like that. So that'd probably be the first place to engage. As far as business planning for 2020, obviously this is a relevant topic for where we are right now. And I've been going through this conversation. So here's one of the exercises I just took some people through. And for those listening, you might want to take notes if you're not driving or come back to this, right? So, but let's face it, right? One of the best ways to predict future success is to look back on our past success, right? Success leaves clues, so to say. So I think it makes sense to take time to conduct an inventory of where your business came from in 2019, the sources of those business, and how successful were those or not. Because as you know, most loan officers have, in terms of real estate agent referrals, they're scattered all over the place, like a bunch of herded cats. So, I would propose that people create a list of your sources of business from last year. These could include like referrals from real estate agents, past clients. If you're working the builder sector, then put that down. Sphere of influence or social media, and then refinance business, right? And that's obviously a specific category of past clients. But just to kind of get a look at the sources of those business, and then start to create a list of, look, there's lots of pillars in this business we could pursue. I'm an advocate of the real estate agent as a pillar, not the only pillar, but it should be definitely one. And we can like go off on social versus agents and consumer direct and all that. I love that debate. But let's just say you recognize agents as a top source of business for you. Great. Make a list of your top referring agents last year. The name, the number of referrals, and the dollar volume closed.
I love it.
Take an inventory right there. Next, what that gives you, it's funny, I just went through this exercise with somebody, and he wrote down like, I forget how many agents he had, like 12 or so agents on there. One agent at the top had 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2. And it just, what it opened up for him was, this is the next step, where do you need to spend more quality time in 2020? With who?
That's great. Yeah.
And or who do you need to perhaps let go of?
Yeah. Hey, and what are you challenging? Because, it's interesting as you're talking about that, we just ran, in some people that are coached by the core and some other programs call it like an accounts pyramid. Or it's exactly what you're doing is inventory where the leads came from, as well as the conversion and closings. And it's shocking how many, because we think we do a good job. I'm still producing. I'm a producing loan officer and market leader for Movement, but I still produce at a high level. So we have a huge goal for this year. And Geoff, I got to tell you, I'm shocked that over half my business is still onesie twosies. Yeah. And what I was telling a couple of my guys the other day was, here's the problem, is that I think the statistic is almost 90% of realtors, 90% close less than 10 transactions a year. Well, here's the challenge. They know you, they like you, they trust you, they send you every deal they can. But let's say a good agent does 10 transactions a year. 5 are buyer's agents, 5 are listing sides. So even if they're 5 buyers, they can only refer you maybe 3. And out of those 3, 1 or 2 already have a lender. So you truly get 1 or 2 opportunities a year, but that agent loves you. And they send you everything they got. Yeah. So it was shocking to realize we're not going after big enough agents who are doing enough transactions. So it really helped us in our prospecting target to know who we want to add value to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Whenever I have a discussion about this, and the fact that, like you pointed out earlier, I've had the good fortune of interviewing a decent number of, high producing loan officers. I just interviewed somebody yesterday. She does about 15 deals a month. And we had this conversation about onesie twosies versus working with the bigger, elephant agents and all that kind of stuff. And I'm always surprised at the different ways at which people succeed at this business. Because one would, and you know, if my tagline in my podcast is truth in mortgage marketing, one would be led to believe that, you know, you need to kick the onesie twosies to the curb and all that kind of stuff. And here's my angle. I'm not saying that's what you need to do. That's for you to decide. Because this gal who's doing this 15 loans a month, she's perfectly happy serving those people when they come into her world with a referral. Because here's the criteria with that. If they are low maintenance,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Yep.
if they're really squeaky wheels, if they're really a pain in the
Mhm.
butt to work with, well then, all right, that's a different But if 4 times a year you get referrals from 10 different agents and you have a 50, 60, 70% conversion ratio on those, well, that's not bad business per se. I don't know. That's for you to choose.
That's a good business. I'll take it.
Yeah. Now, all right. So, you know, conversely, on the flip side, I know there's other people out there who believe that you need to, and I'm not saying one's right or the other. I'm saying choose for yourself.
Yeah.
Go deeper. Work
Yeah.
with the bigger agents, and therefore have a smaller, you know, pool of referral partners that you can go deeper with and serve on a deeper level. That's a different model.
Yeah.
So, which one is right for you?
Well, and you know what's interesting, Jeff, I think you on that, you kind of do both. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what we're finding is we want to hit the onesie twosies with technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll
Right.
do mass texting that feels personal, that says, hey, we're
Mm-hmm.
working on the weekends. Or we'll do, that's part of why we do 4 lunch and learns a month.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are masterminds. One of them is an open invitation. And then what we also do, so we have something called an agent playbook that we put out every single month. And what that does for us is it allows us to touch our database, and we're sending it out to 1,400 agents. I know that's a ton, but I think that's why we're winning with the onesie twosies, recognizing if I can get 10 channel accounts that are sending me more than 12 transactions a year,
Mm-hmm.
then it's game on. You know,
Right.
that's really where you win. And
Yeah.
you want probably 50, 60% of your business coming from those channel accounts.
Yeah.
But we're trying to utilize technology,
Yeah.
events that we're inviting people to, the invitation, like on our client appreciations or realtor appreciations, where you can say, hey guys, thank you for being a part, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't do one-on-ones with them. You know, it's
Right.
the one-on-ones
Right.
are with the
Right.
ones who can send us more and more transactions. So that's interesting.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, so talk about what else. So you're looking at the accounts, and that's phenomenal because you want to look at the number of leads, the conversion, how many closings you have, and what that account is worth. What
Yeah.
else are you doing?
So the next step in that is once you've identified, right, who your kind of A players are, the ones that aren't the onesie twosie. So, all right, let's say it this way. Everybody has agents that are at different levels of buy-in with you as a referral partner. You've got some that are all in and right, maybe they're hopefully kind of fighting for you and not doing the 3-card approach,
Right,
right?
right.
They're like, no, you got to go with Steve. He's my lender. He's the best in town. Then you've got like 10 different variables of that. And what I'm, suggesting people do is to identify those agents you do want to go deeper with in 2020, and to make the calls now, right? Not tomorrow, but now, to schedule time to have a conversation with those agents you do want to go deeper with, and get it either a larger share of the business you know they have, to maybe bring them back in the fold if they've been kind of lost sheep and you did a deal 4 months ago and it's been crickets, or that's why this inventory will help you clarify where to focus your time. And so you've got to then decide how much, to your point, about time you want to invest in these people. And so I propose having this kind of dialogue, the script that basically says, I call you up, hey, Steve, what's up? Small talk, blah, 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 blah. It's going to vary based on the level of our engagement. But anyway, Steve, the reason why I'm calling is because I'm doing some business planning for 2020. And by the way, this works all the way through January.
Yeah.
I'm doing some business planning for 2020. And one of my goals in 2020 is to go deeper with fewer agents than to be spread too thin and go wide with too many agents. And Steve, good news. You're on that list of people I want to go deeper with.
Yay.
Hopefully that's their reaction,
Yes.
right? But here's the thing. That script is appropriate for the agents that you identify it's appropriate with. What I mean by that is, even if it was that agent who 4 months ago we did a deal and I haven't heard from them since, and they say to you, hey, you know what, Geoff, I appreciate that very, very much. But however, I got to tell you, I'm totally loyal to Susie Q over here at
Yeah.
ABC Mortgage, and she really gets my business. Am I going to hang up the phone and go, sorry, No, that's your opportunity to say, totally appreciate that. Love the loyalty, Steve. How about this? Would you be open to the idea of having a second lender on your team as a backup?
That's it. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Reason why is I'm sure Sally Q is at some point not going to be able to deliver a solution that your client needs. I'd like to be first dibs on that.
I love it. Have a second look. Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, does that sound like a good business? Yeah, it does. Great. I'd still like to get together and learn more about you and your business for 2020, right? Just because we're going to cross paths again, and I want to be that second choice on your team. So anyway, what's your calendar look like on January 17th at 3:00?
Love it. Come on, man.
Just go for it.
Close them down.
Exactly. Why not? If they said yes, it makes sense.
Yes.
Right? Great. Let's have a conversation.
Hey, and so what are the things you're coaching? Like where are people finding prospects? How do they know who to go after as they're looking in 2020 and they recognize there's a gap? You know, it's interesting. We talked about this on 3 podcasts ago. When you're looking at your business plan, not only is it your why, not only is it where I'm going, not only is it who's on your team, but it's the last thing is what are you going to do different to bridge the gap between what you did and what next year's goal is. And so as you're looking at how do you bridge the gap to get more loans, to get more leads, to build more relationships, who are you targeting? How are you coaching people to go after the right agents and even in business partnering?
Yeah, so I think in terms of the right agents, some of that we covered here in terms of the targeting based on who you've worked with in the past. You know, going after agents you have zero relationship is a kind of a different game, different approach.
Yeah.
But let me set that aside for a moment and go back to kind of your original question of like where we find the prospects. Here's my belief. It's too easy to get distracted by the shiny objects of social media, and I don't even want to say the 2 words that rhyme with TikTok, but okay, there I said it. Because I have a clear line in the sand about TikTok, which I could tell you, I did a video about it a week ago. But I believe that the future of your business is in your CRM, in your database. Right?
Talk about it. That's great. Yeah.
Listen, it's not rocket science that we know most sales professionals aren't great at database management.
Yeah.
Aren't great at past client optimization and follow-up. And look at this. Out of every 10 loan app you take, out of every closed transaction, there's 2 or 3 more deals in there for you. Most people suck at doing that.
Hey, I'm one of them.
Right.
It's so funny because we have literally, I just pulled a list of over 100 names of people that are over 4.5% rates. And while everybody have been pounding refis, we've been pounding purchases. Yeah. But the truth is, I haven't kept up with my database the way I should have. And I know that there are deals and gold sitting in that database. And so that has been our renewed commitment over the last 90 days is we've got to button this thing down because we're losing dollars, trying to chase new relationships and letting go of the ones that are already warm to us.
Well, look, this is why I like to be on other podcasts because I get to vent and go crazy.
I know. Come on. I can tell.
This is so relevant and topical because there's a few company names or conversations that we could post on social. I did one the other day. I don't know if you saw it on LinkedIn and everybody likes to have a boogeyman and everybody gets all pissed off and upset that this tech company's coming in to steal my customers and they're friggin' marketing to my closed database and all that. And I'm like, why aren't you? If it's your client, and I know it's not, I get a sense that I'm like preaching here and I'm saying, I've been equally guilty of all these sins as well.
Yeah.
However, I have the good fortune to now kind of be in a different position. But the point is I think that's a BS excuse.
Yeah.
That's a cop-out. You want to stomp your feet in the sand and say, golly gee, how come all these other people are coming and taking our business? Because you've sucked at it for so long. That's why. Right?
Because you haven't done your job, managed your database, followed up with your clients. Hey, I love Greg Gale. He did at Insanely Tactical. He did a whole session on how to generate more leads than you can handle. Mm-hmm. Geoff, it's the basics. It's mail to your database once a month, actual mail, not email, not social media, right? Have a client appreciation every quarter, call your database twice a year. And as he's saying it, you're just like, I think so many of us, me included, we failed to keep the basics running. And we're like, oh man, I got to get more followers. I got to touch social. I got to do more videos. I got to get more email campaigns out. And the real money sitting in what we're not currently touching. That's
Well,
crazy, man. Well, and it's so true. And I'm guilty of it, man. Oh, I'm guilty of it.
and listen, this is what you call that tough love conversation. I do this in love. I'm not like doing this disrespectfully, right? Because I've made this, like I said, same sins. But I'll tell you, if there's one common thread that I've found out of 150 people I've interviewed that, are top producers for sure, right? It's that they have I was going to say mastered, but they wouldn't say that. It's that they have placed the primary emphasis on the things you and I are talking about.
Yeah.
The past client database, optimizing that, building a fence around their past clients and referral partners, and optimizing their customer experience so that they mitigate and reduce the risk of losing those people to elsewhere. And it's only then, once they've got you, it's that you really decide that you're going to be like the YouTube person or the whatever. Now, by that, I'm not saying don't be a ghost. I'm not saying don't be on social just because you're doing all this database stuff or whatever. Yes, have a presence, but for the conversations I see from LOs out there to be like I got some message from somebody the other day where it's just like, yeah, dude, I just want to learn how to run Facebook ads and be at the beach, sipping Coronas.
Yeah.
That was literally the thing, man.
That's watching too many ClickFunnels, bro.
Yeah, there you go. And
I just want to run a ClickFunnel and get like 22 mortgages a month,
that's all
like $1 million bucks. Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm going to build a team and I'm going to have like this person and that person. And I'm like, oh, so you're going to spend $100,000 on having a team when you still can't originate enough loans on your own, and it's all going to be from Facebook ads. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And you're going to convert high and keep them for a long time.
Yeah. And you never have to be involved in the process at all.
Never. No, this is easy money, bro.
You don't have to take the calls. You don't have to do okay. All right. That's called a McDonald's franchise, I think.
Yeah, right. You want to make $250,000 a year, go buy a franchise. You can go to the bank on it, right?
And drop $500,000 doing it, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting, but what we run from is we run from the basics. Mm-hmm. And I love that's what I was about to say. In so many ways, everybody's like, oh, success is sexy. No, it's doing the same thing every day, whether you want to or not, and you make the calls and you prospect and you do what you've got to do to build a team to help support.
I'm starting a new coaching company, Black Belt Mortgage Marketing. That's it. Because it's just like the fundamentals
Selling
in friggin'
ninjas.
Martial arts. How many times do you practice the punch, the kick, the move in martial arts?
A bunch.
Now, there's this old quote from Bruce Lee, right? I'll probably screw it up a little bit, but he's like, I don't fear the man who knows like 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times.
There you go. I love it. Kick him in the gut, baby.
Well, success is a few simple disciplines repeated every day. Jim Rohn.
Yeah. That's you. Well, and it doesn't take much to impress in today's environment. Customer service, even if you just add 1 or 2 notches, people are blown away. A thank you text, a thank you video after an appointment, a quick email video introduction prior to your loan consult.
Let's get tactical. Yeah.
I mean, just easy things that should be in our everyday. We tend to forget, or the truth is we get lazy. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's easy for loan officers to say, hey, I'm good at selling. I'm not good at details. And that's the lie we believe. I just did a podcast this morning with Adam Outland, and it's going to be released. It's already out on the podcast, so listen to it. But he's talking about the beliefs and what, as a loan officer, here's what we believe, because this is me. Hey, I'm great at selling. I am great at building relationships. I'm terrible at the details, and I'm terrible at database. And you know what I've had to say is, if I want to be wealthy, if I want to repeat success, if I want to have a thriving team in business, I'm going to have to buckle it down and learn how to be good at details and database and overcome the lie. That's the easy part. I can't do it.
Unless you can hire that out.
Yes.
And you've got the money to do that.
Yes, that's right. And I think as you see success, that's what you do. You fill in your weaknesses, and that's what it takes. So that's huge. Hey, talk about the daily disciplines. What are 3 or 4 every day, 5 that people got to do every single day to be successful in 2020? With the technology landscape. And I do agree, man, there's too much weight put into the technology companies. Here's what we know. Relationships trump technology. Millennials, which are nearing 40% of the home buyer this next year, although they start online, they typically end with a relationship. Mm-hmm. And so as you're looking at the daily disciplines, what are the ones that you would encourage loan officers to really build in their calendar for 2020?
Yeah, that's a great question. It could get long and deep there, so I'll try and keep it short. I'm a big believer in starting your day intentional. First of all, first and foremost, getting your mindset right. So whatever that means to you, like for me, it means I get up before anybody else, like early, and I know that's like a real like in vogue thing to do today. Um, uh, Here's what I know. I saw a podcast by Ryan Serhant once, and he talked about getting up at 5:30, whatever it is. It's not about the hour, right? But what he pointed out is that if you have in his case, 2 hours of dedicated time in the morning before all the other crap hits the fan, and you
Yeah.
multiply that over the course of a week, a month, a year, I forget what it is. It's something like you get an extra 2 months of work, right?
Wow.
It's crazy. Do the math on it, right? So number one, a lot of people just need to get started earlier. It's funny. You talked about the coaching and we do internally at Movement and stuff. At one time we took this poll and we asked all of our coaching clients at Movement, hey, what time do you usually get in the office? Right? We're hearing like 10, 9:30,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
11. And we're thinking like, what? Any of you that are getting in at 10 o'clock, come on, what are you doing? Right? Anyway, so first of all, how prepared are you for the day, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally? There's plenty of resources out there for that, the Morning Miracle and all that jazz. So to the crux of, I think the answer to that is, to the degree you can, have meaningful engagements with a past client, a referral partner, a sphere of influence person in your database, somebody who has the potential to either send you a deal directly or to influence the decision of somebody else. The bottom line, engage, right?
Yeah.
Having meaningful connections and conversations. Now, that could be over the phone. That could be on social with a DM. That could be on a like and whatever. There's multiple ways to engage today, but you can't, be behind your computer and succeeding.
That's huge. Well, hey, and I love that. So two things you just said. Number one is most of us have to get started earlier.
Yeah.
You got to have the quiet time so that you're focusing on yourself and your business and centering. And number two is have more meaningful engagements every day.
Yeah,
I love it,
100%.
man. What
That could
else?
also go to be with your team as well, if you happen
Yeah,
to have a team.
that's huge. I love
Yeah.
it. Anything else?
Well, how much time we got?
Well, we probably about 5 more minutes, but here's what I would tell you.
Yeah.
I think that's one that's overlooked, and I don't know why you're pulling all the transparency out of me. I've
Truth
got
in marketing, baby.
Listen, baby, truth in marketing. But what's interesting? I've got 3 kids, so one just turned 8. I got a 4 and a 2-year-old,
Yep.
and
Wow.
since my 2-year-old was born, I used to be at 4:30. I'm at the gym by 5. I'm home by 6. And since the 2-year-old's been born, I'm telling you, bro, it is a struggle to roll out before 6:30, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I told Steph, is that my wife, I just said, babe, this is the year of getting back into the early morning routine, because there's so much that happens good before 6 o'clock. I mean, it just is. So many things you can do. And I don't know about you, but I've got a passion this year. I'm working on a scripts book, and I love scripting, and I love but it's funny. You ever heard of a guy, Chandler Bolt? He's got a great podcast, man, the Self-Publishing School. And so I've been going through it, and I'm like, I am committed this year to get up early and write our first book. So
listen, Steve, I can support you in that. And first of all, I get the thing about having a young child. I think that goes to our point earlier, and I've had so many recordings like this week, I like lose track whose talk track I'm on. But it goes to the point about like, hey, you need to be here. You need to be doing it this way. And it's like, no, you don't. You need to be doing it, but doing it your way.
There you go.
Because if your life is in a situation, maybe you have an elderly parent who's living at home, and you're going through this phase of your life where you've got extra things and extra challenges that are filling up that space you might otherwise have for yourself. Yeah. That's called life, right? And I know people are different aspects in it. So it's really easy to be that guru who stands up there and says, get up at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. Do I think it's useful? Yeah. But the key is it's not about the hour. Like I said, are you finding that time that allows you to do the self-work? You know what I mean? Whenever in the day you can do it. Okay. Secondly, I will tell you this in terms of writing a book, man. You and I are like kindred spirits here. So I too have been on that path for 8 months writing a book.
Come on.
And I was posting a while on Instagram, like doing the snapshot. Here I am at 4 a.m. Look at me writing a chapter.
I'm feeling some accountability coming up here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I stopped posting that. And my brother goes, "What's the matter, man? Did you stop writing?" I'm like, "No, I just got tired of posting like all about just me writing that book."
Yeah.
But it's a quiet journey though. A lot of us it's a lonely journey
Yeah.
sometimes when we're in those early morning hours and it's just all us here and it's dark and it's cold. And it's like, sometimes you're like, wow, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
And I can tell you that it is. When you get to the other side, it
Mm-hmm.
is. And that's probably the benefit of getting those few moments of quiet time, 30, 15, 10 minutes, whatever, and getting reconnected to your purpose, your why, and who are you becoming.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. Well, and the encouragement too, that's what I love about this community that we're building is there's an encouraging of, hey, you can do it. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it. And really, I love this saying. I don't remember who said it, but it was, you don't have to win every game to win
Mm-hmm.
the championship.
There
You
you
just
go.
got to have a winning season. So more wins than losses.
Yeah.
And so when you're losing, bro, just don't stop. Keep running, keep running, keep
Yeah.
running. And I think that's what marketing is. It's not more. People are confused. You think originating alone is a 1008 and 1003. And what I would challenge you with is more about, and our listeners, it's more about having a clear plan and
Mm-hmm.
executing the plan of building relationships and staff up to the details and things you're not good at. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're not good at it, Geoff, I've been doing it 17 years. Started in 2002, got my license in 2003, and I can tell you there were years that I couldn't even dream about breaking. I wasn't even trying to grow. I was just trying to hold on.
Right.
And there are years that it's about the discipline, and then as you get more confidence, you get more success, then you're able to say, okay, well, next year I'm believing for 10, 20, 30, 40%, and then
Mm-hmm.
you just got to have the team, the resources, and know what you're going to do to bridge the gap. So that's
Yeah.
huge, man. And you got to have good coaches, man, good people
Right.
in your
Yes.
life that are helping you see the blind spots. So
Yes. Support infrastructure. You get them from podcasts like yours or mentors around you. Nobody gets to the top of Success Mountain alone.
no, not at all, man. Hey, well, give us some closing thoughts, man. Thoughts around how to
Okay.
make 2020 the year of breakthrough.
Yeah, let me summarize it for this way. You referred to an article in Housing Wire. I'm gonna pull a couple of nuggets out of the first article I had in there, which is what I learned interviewing over 150 of America's top loan originators. And I'll just give you the quick, I guess, 5 things here. What it is this is what I saw as consistent patterns from them. Number one, the power of belief. Right?
Yeah.
They believe that it's possible, whatever it
Yeah.
is, that thought they have in their mind. High standards for yourself and others around you. Consistency,
Mm,
habits and systems, knowing your numbers, meaning what's your conversion ratios on your apps to fundings, on your referrals to conversions to loans. Know your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you don't know where your weakness is. So you got to get better there in the
yeah.
gap. The power of focus. We talked about this, the ability to focus on the few things that matter versus the many that don't. Process improvement. Always look for ways to improve your process. Get a good team around you and be well educated about product knowledge. I've talked to so many loan officers who win just because they're known as the guy or gal
Who
who
fixes
actually
it?
gets
Yeah.
things done, right?
Yeah.
That is your personal brand right there, and that's it.
Hey, bro, that is a phenomenal close. Great tools and tactics. Geoff, I got to tell you, thank you for taking your afternoon to invest in the listeners at the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. Hey, guys, make sure to check out Geoff's podcast, Mortgage Marketing Radio, one of the top podcasts in the industry. Stay connected to him as a thought leader. And man, I just want you to know we appreciate you joining us today and all the insight you shared. So, brother, thank you for that.
Appreciate you having me. Keep doing what you're doing, Steve. It's doing good things.
I appreciate it. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. See you.